Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you for joining me again here today. I just wanted to take a few minutes to just keep in touch because I know I haven't been online a whole lot lately. Um, haven't been producing a lot of videos, particularly the cooking kind of videos, because I've been out surveying the areas and seeing what's going on in the community and trying to meet my own needs as well. As I've been saying seemingly forever, food prices are going up. Yes, they're still going up. Coffee, which I mentioned last summer, and for any of you that have watched me that long, where I was saying that prices for coffee was be going up, it is actually now officially gone up. It was $12.99 per bag for one bag of coffee, whereas last summer you could get it $4.99 in some stores. Grocery stores usually between $4 to $6, but $12.99 as of today. That's the price that I saw in one major outlet today, and it threw me for a loop. But thankfully, I don't need any coffee right now because, of course, I'm already prepared and I have enough to carry on for a little while. But it's not like I'm growing my own coffee beans and trees. So I know that I have to be proactive and continue to look for bargains and deals where I can so that I can get what I need before I run out of what I have. Because right now it's kind of like a supply and demand issue. You know, if you have a need and if you haven't prepared for it, you're going to be probably hit in the pocketbook. So yeah, all my saying prepare, prepare, prepare. In those old videos where I had the long dreadlocks, and I don't know if people took me seriously or didn't take me seriously during those videos. But yeah, the same stuff that I've been talking about for years, it really is happening right now. Cucumbers. You go to some stores, can't even find not even one cucumber. Oh, sorry about that. Other stores, you can go. Yes, you might find cucumbers for $1 a piece. So if you don't already have your cucumbers and have them like pickled and put away or whatever, I wish you well with trying to find the cucumbers at an affordable price. I already happen to have some, um, had a good amount of them. So, some I eat fresh, some I did the whole peeling and pickling bit because it's nice to have some stuff put back for when you need it or when you just want it, even if you don't really need it then, but if you want it. Other things, the price of flour has gone up, of course. Cornmeal, I have become more creative in the brands that I choose. I used to just go after specific brands, but those specific brands now have raised their price up, and that makes it more difficult to get a decent amount of what I need. So instead of going for those fancy name products that come in a small box that has sugar added into it that makes it taste more like cake than cornbread, I'm going for the other company that's not as well known, that comes from ethnic groups, and they're just straight up calling it maize, which is corn that's ground down into a flour, basically. Same thing. What's good about it is that I have friends with celiac disease. So if I make some cornbread for them using this, I can be assured that there is no wheat in there. It's just straight up corn. And it's full of vitamins, vitamin B1 and B2 and B12 and zinc and vitamin A, and it's full of nutrition. It's a good thing to have, not hard to work with. Make hot water cornbread on the stove. If you don't know how to do that, put a message down below, and I will do that for you. It's very, very easy. You can use it to make fry bread, like Native American fry bread. You can use it for a variety of things. It was only $2.59 for a large bag today. So that was the deal of the day for me. So yes, I did get that. But one thing I was kind of disappointed about because I'm the root vegetable lady. Of course, I was going to go look for more beets because I gotta have my supply of beets every day. At least to be able to eat one beet every day, one decent sized beet, because it does help with lowering the blood pressure. And don't take anything that I say here as being medical advice or legal advice because I'm not a doctor, I'm not a lawyer, I'm just a person. This is Danette's Kitchen, and this is what's worked for me. And my doctor approves of it because it has shown to be effective for me in the numbers. What works for you? Talk to your doctor about it, but it's worked for me. So I try to keep a steady supply of beets. And I try to get a little bit extra because then I can pickle some and I can dehydrate. I like to dehydrate a lot. So I dehydrate most of them and put them up. So I'm thinking, last week I went to the store and I was able to get two small, average-ish size beets uh, that weighed a pound for $1.78 a pound. Thought the price was a little bit steep, but I got them because, yeah, I needed the beets and I didn't want to go from store to store to store to store. I just wanted to be able to get something so I can have something fresh and I can continue to save the dehydrated product that I have. But today I said, well, I'm going to look around the store, see what else they have. They still had $1.78 a pound for those beets, regular beets. And then they had the ones that come in the plastic packaging that shrink wrap that had like four smaller beets, about plum size, $4.99 for one package of that. Whereas if I went to the other store that's like a half a mile away from me, if it weren't raining, I probably would have just walked to the other store. But at the other store, they were 259 before. What they are now, I don't know. But I'm going to go try to check that out tomorrow to see if I can get them at a good price. Sorry about the beeping. That would be my Instapot saying that the meat and rice that I was preparing is ready. I'm trying to multitask today, preparing a meal in the Instapot, dehydrating some more broccoli, young broccoli. I really like it. Dehydrating it and then putting that back so that I have that for those times when I need. I still have the refrigerated and, the freezer stuff, which I'd go through the freezer stuff first. But if things hit the fan and there's a longer period of time without things, because, the government in America has already said to expect that there will be some food shortages and different situations coming up in the next few months. So I like to be prepared because if they're waving the flag saying, hey, it's going to happen, it's just like pulling up to the railroad tracks, hearing the ding, 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 ding of the bell and seeing that arm starting to drop down. When that arm is dropping down, we know that means that you should not cross and get on those tracks because it's not a good thing for you to do. So basically, they're already doing the ding, 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 ding by letting us know on the news and on their interruptions in the TV programs that things are going to get rough. And just like China and other places are putting back and saving food, Russia has been putting back for the past year. They've been putting back and saving food. I do try to look into those things and see what's going on in other nations. And if those things are happening in other nations, then surely I need to be ready here in my own home. They say have 3 weeks worth of stuff. They say 3 days. First, you should have 3 days worth, which is not that bad of a thing, not hard to do for me. I realize there's some people that are van dwellers and car dwellers and people living in a variety of situations. And so it may not come as easily to other people, you know, for in those situations. But 3 days, then 3 weeks, and then 3 months. Then you want to try to get 6 months worth of food put back if you can, which may mean a lot of canned goods and a lot of bags of beans and rice and ramen or whatnot. And then a year's worth if you're able. If you're able to get more than the year's worth put back, more power to you. Even those wonderful food places that sell freeze dried foods, the ones that have been selling them online, and a lot of preppers have been talking about, hey, get your food from here, get your food from here. This is 3 months worth in this package right here. Sounds nice, but there have been a number of fires this year, and I'm not trying to um, sound like Chicken Little, saying the sky is falling, but this is still April of 2022, and there have been more than 20, close to 30 fires, I believe, since the beginning of this year. Or maybe I'm wrong, maybe my numbers are off, but it happens to be that these are all related to food plants where food is processed or freeze dried or dehydrated or whatever. So people need to get their stuff together and have some stuff for themselves and not just living on the day by day. It's good. I mean, it's really good. You want a pizza, get yourself a pizza, put it in the freezer or whatever. Heat that pizza. You want some burgers? Great. Get them burgers. But if you go to the store and all of a sudden you see this gigantic package of ground beef and the price has been drastically marked down, first check it out. Make sure that, the expiration date and everything is good and that it doesn't look odd or like it's been tampered with or anything. But if it's looking all good, it may be a good idea for you to get that. If you can afford to get it, take it home. First, slice it in half to cut it open, and then slice it into several sections and put each section in a Ziploc baggie so that they can be put in the freezer. Use one of those bags for a meal. Nobody needs a quarter pound or half-pound hamburger at a time. I mean, you can do that if you want to, but recognizing that the alarm is already going off and that arm is coming down on those train tracks, wisdom would dictate putting a little bit back, saving a little bit. Even if you got a little bit of extra space on a little side freezer or whatever, put that stuff, stack it up in there neatly, put it to the side. If you can find chicken, which I know we're coming to the end of this whole bird flu deal or whatever, and now they're saying that it really doesn't impact people as much as it does other birds, whatever the situation is. If you can find extra chicken, or if you can find extra beef, if you can find extra fish, whatever, especially those packages of fish where it's already filleted and cut up and in the little plastic shrink wrap dealies. Look, turn that thing over on the back and look and see how many servings they're saying that are in there. Because if it's saying that there's like 8 servings in there and you might be paying $28 or whatever, that's like saying paying $12 for 4 servings. Is that going to be worth it to you? Is $3 a serving worth the amount of meat that's in that? You can look for, your canned goods if you like your canned tuna, if you like your beefaroni and that kind of stuff. But realize when you open that can, you're basically using that day and then it's gone. And then what are you going to have? If there's a way that you can stretch food so that you're making it last longer and you're not really being wasteful for yourself. Because there's a lot of times that we get stuff and we're like, yeah, I think I want some corn dogs today, and I think I want to have this chicken and this and that, and then you're indecisive and you're overcooking stuff, and then you have half eaten stuff that's left out on the table, and then you say, oh, I guess I'll just put it in the refrigerator, and then you can never go back to it. It goes bad and it goes in the trash. Rather than doing that, really look at what is considered a serving size so that when you're doing all this, you're actually preparing serving sizes for yourself or for your family or household, whatever living situation you're in. And try to be really saving those extra things. I had a sack of apples and I thought, boy, I got a whole sack of apples. What am I going to? I mean, it's not like the cute little paper bag ones that they sell, give you on sale in the store. I got a large sack. I had like 12 apples. Did I want them to go to waste? Of course not. Dad's kitchen. Of course, I don't want to waste the apples. So what did I do? I took half of them and I cut them and open, peeled them, cored them, and sliced them up. Boiled them in the pot with a little bit of water because apples will kind of run water themselves anyway. They're full of juice, so you don't really have to put a whole lot of water in it. I learned that at the monastery. Um, and let it cook down till they were nice and soft and mushy. And then took my little blender, which, you know, my mixer is a hand mixer. I don't have one that you plug into the wall. It's totally old school, save save the electricity because I've been in the dark before. So I like having things that I can use without having to worry about plugging in the wall. Blended it up so it was like applesauce. Sprinkle a little bit of cinnamon in there. Blend it a little bit more. I'm all good. Now I can put it in some containers. I'll have some tonight as a snack later on after dinner or whatever. I will have some to take to work with me tomorrow. And then I can have some on Tuesday. And then I still have the other apples sitting there, which I have to decide, am I going to dehydrate those other apples or am I going to freeze them or what am I going to do with those other apples? But I have options, you know. Cucumbers, all the cucumbers I had in the fridge, it's like, okay, what am I going to do with the cucumbers? So some of them peeled, sliced, got them in a container with some vinegar and water, put those babies up. Other ones I can just peel and slice and eat as a snack. I could have made cucumber soup. I could put them on my eyes, and as you see, I've always had like the little circles under my eyes. Can't help it. It's not like some young kid anyway, but B56, I don't think it's so bad. But doing things like that, something like that. Taking broccoli, if you have a whole bunch of extra broccoli, cutting it down, splitting each little floret, dehydrating that, it saves me extra. I have extra food put away. So then that way I'm not just wasting anything. I don't want to just have things and have them becoming a waste for me. Um, it's really important to not be wasteful, which I'm saying that all the time anyway, but now we can all see how important it is to save and to have stuff. And I was thinking about the fertilizer situation. A lot of our fossil fuel and our fertilizer and a lot of those things that we really find that we need here in America come from Russia and the Ukraine, which are going through their major conflict right now. So, what are you going to do? And yes, I do the hydroponic gardening indoors, but I'm also going to start a couple of buckets, do some bucket gardening, just some simple stuff, plant some seeds and like grow like a little cuties tree, like the little cutie mandarin type orange tree. My sister did it, it worked for her. So, very happy to hear about that. My uncle has done it with lemons but he's in a house, I'm in a condo, so it's kind of a different situation. Um, so to be able to do that and grow it indoors, get some food grade buckets and get that started. And then I want an extra food grade bucket so that I can do some composting on my own in my home. Because, we use all this stuff and we're so used to just throwing everything away. We're just always constantly throwing away, throwing away. But like today, you know, cucumber and apple peels. Those I was working with earlier today. That's for a compost bin. So I can get a food grade bucket with the lid so I can pop that right in there and I take my little tea bags and if you have tea bags, after you've used your tea, cut that baby open. Those tea leaves can go right in there too. It's compostable. It can degrade on its own in that container and turn into a rich soil for you. And I've mentioned before in my videos about how I'm not able to eat anything that I would grow outside because the soil around where I live is really kind of polluted, contaminated, according to the U of M. The master gardener came out and checked it out and said, it's not really a good idea. It may make you sick. So that's why I do the hydroponic gardening, which is really, really easy to do indoors. And I'm going to start some bucket gardening too because it's a simple thing to do. Um, just pop a seed or two in each one and give it some time and let's see what happens. If nothing happens, you haven't lost anything. If you eat enough oranges, even the cuties or whatever, or apples, there's going to be some kind of seeds that come from that. I can't guarantee that those seeds will be worth anything or that anything will grow from it, but let's see what happens. Like I said, it worked for my sister, it worked for my uncle, it works for different people. And not everybody has a farm, not everybody has their own freestanding house. Some people are in apartments, some people are in condos like me, or townhome or association where what you do inside your walls is okay on you, but what you do outside your walls, you're part of an association and there are different governing rules that have to be followed in those situations. So, put up a bookcase or a shelf or something and do a little something for yourself inside your walls. You got a few extra dollars that you don't know what to do with? You better go somewhere to the hardware store or somewhere and get yourself some seeds. Put a few seeds back. Give it a try. Start working on these things for yourself because it can be crucial for your living every day. And you know what? If you go places like the dollar store, the Dollar Tree, Dollar General, Family Dollar, those places, sometimes they have books for sale there that are really cheap, really affordable. And when I say cheap, I don't mean it in a negative, disrespectful way. I mean, sometimes they have some really good stuff at a low price. The Weed Eater's Cookbook came from the dollar store. Sometimes you can go to a place like Axeman. There's a place called Axeman. There's a couple of places called Axeman out here where I live. And they're sort of like an odd lots type of a place. They're not really related to the odd lots company, but where other stores get an overstock of stuff and they're not able to get rid of everything, they will take it to that place and that place will sell it and they make a profit that way. And they usually sell everything really cheap. And that's where I got my prepper handbook from the Doomsday Prepper TV show that used to be on years ago. And I don't really have any plans on fighting any alligators or anything, but there's other helpful information that I can use that's in those books. So things like that. Um, Backyard Foraging is a good book. That one I ended up going online and I believe I got it through Barnes and Noble or something. You might be able to find it on thriftbooks.com or Amazon or something like that. But there's a wealth of knowledge out there in different books that can be helpful. And although it seems like I have a lot of books, I've got illustrated cookbooks, a lot of the Betty Crocker type stuff, because Betty Crocker always had photos in those old cookbooks that show you how everything is supposed to look when it comes out. But I also have how to cook everything vegetarian because if there's ever a time where there is no more meat available to eat, what are you going to do? You still got to eat something. I mean, I talk a lot about TVP, or I used to talk about that texturized vegetable protein. Man, the last 2, 3 weeks, I've been going to stores looking for that. I have not even been able to find any texturized vegetable protein, but I have some, so I'm good. But it would have been nice to just have a little bit more to put back because it does go a long way. A small amount of that goes a long way. And yes, it's soy, so people that have any soy allergies or just really dislike using soy may not want to go for that, but I like it because what it does is it takes on the flavor of the other things that you add into it, which is why it's important to have yourself some spices. Or grab one of those big bags of the that's full of the cayenne peppers. You can get the big bag for $5 in the grocery store and they're dried out already. That way you can go bloop, drop one in when you're preparing your stuff. Bam, it's going to add that flavor. And then you can add some other things to that. Having you some turmeric, having some garlic. If you're not able to find any garlic powder, getting you some fresh garlic and slicing it, dehydrating that stuff. You can dehydrate it and leave it in a jar, have that put away, or after it's dehydrated, you can blend it down to a powder so that way you can use it in a salt shaker. That's one thing that the dollar stores are really good for. You can get all of them little salt and pepper shakers that are just empty, the cute little ones for your table for $1.25 now, since they're not really a dollar anymore. You can use all sorts of spices in those. You can create your own spices, which I've shown, I believe, on one of my videos. But if you want me to do that again, put something down in the comment section and I will do that because it's really not hard. And then that way you're getting the flavors that you like for yourself and your home and you're getting the nutrition that you like too. I have the dehydrated uh, greens because I get my greens when they're fresh, get as much as I can, keep part of them fresh so that I can eat them fresh, freeze part of them, and I dehydrate the rest so that way it lasts me a longer amount of time. Same as I do with the onions. Because I don't want to get a bag of onions and use one now and forget about the rest of the bag and then go back and see some weird organism growing out of my bag of onions or seeing things get slimy and gross or have that stinky smell. No, I'll take one out to use now. The rest of the motor scooters I cut up and I dehydrate them overnight while my neighbors are usually asleep. So by the time they wake up in the morning, the smell, if there is any, it's pretty low and it will finish drying up through the rest of the day. But then I don't have to worry about that rigmarole of running around looking for onions when there's a shortage on everything. Oh, I've got lots of onions in my jars. Some of them are yellow onions, some of them are the red onions. So that way I can use what I need when I need to use it. Parsnips, carrots, definitely the beets I do that with too. And I can grow my herbs with, especially hydroponically, easy to grow the herbs. Easy to grow mint. You can grow mint anywhere. If you have good soil outside, you can grow them outside. It will keep the squirrels away because rodents, and a squirrel is just a rat's cousin. Let's face it. Rodents do not like the mint or mint oil. So be selective in where you're putting it, and it can be a protective sort of a thing for you to be able to keep your other stuff. I can grow mine indoors hydroponically, and it would be the only thing I would be growing in a particular pot or a particular area because when you start growing mint, you don't want other stuff around that. Not too close because it spreads like wildfire. A few years ago, when I was doing the outdoor garden in the garden club, and there's a video of that, and honestly, I don't know where it is because I've got hundreds of videos. If I can find it, I will link it in the description of this video so you can see. But when I was part of that garden club, and we'd have these raised bed gardens, and we'd have a variety of different things growing in there. Have you some basil, some rosemary, some thyme, and you had this cute little mint plant. And it was like, that's so cute. Everything is so cute and separated, and they've all got their little spaces. 2 weeks later, that mint plant had spread, and it was just like everywhere, and it was challenging to control. But it didn't have any problems with the squirrels messing with that. They ate the cucumbers. They really did eat the cucumbers, pull them off of the vine in their raised bed garden, but they didn't bother that mint. They don't get along well with mint. Well, I think I have talked quite a bit now, and I just said that I was only going to be on here for a minute. But are you prepared? I hope you have been preparing. There are so many channels out here on YouTube that even if you feel like my content isn't very entertaining, know that honestly, I'm not really here to entertain you. And I don't mean to sound offensive. I'm here to just really impart some of my knowledge on you so maybe I can share something with you that can be helpful. As you can see, I'm not monetized. So it's not like I'm out here chasing a dollar. Let's keep it real. I just want everyone to be prepared because if you're prepared, you don't have to come knocking at my door when these very real food shortages and price hikes continue to go up. Because they're going to continue to go up. Mark my words, next 4 months, we're going to be seeing some crazy, crazy stuff. So I hope you're prepared. I really hope you're ready. If you're not ready, I hope you're trying to get ready. You got canned goods that don't know how to figure out how to organize them or whatever. Leave me a message. Hit me up. Let me help you figure some stuff out so that you can be organized and comfortable about that and not be stressed because you don't need to be scared. You don't need to be stressed. What you need is to be prepared. Don't be scared. Be prepared. So, if you like my content, give it a thumbs up. I'd really appreciate that. And it does help the YouTube algorithm. Share with friends, with people that you know, and hopefully they will watch as well. And I apologize, I keep bumping the camera, but hopefully you'll find that you finding this information helpful for you in some way. I do have lots of prep information to give away, but I have it all set up in binders. I know a lot of people say, "Hey, pay me $4.99 and you can print down this or that," and I understand it helps them, and for a lot of people, this is, you know, their income, and this really isn't my income. This is just my passion. That's what it is. It's my passion. Now, if you want to donate to me, that's super. I would never turn that down, but that's not how I roll, and that's not what I'm seeking. I just want people to be prepared. So, if you find that you are interested in any certain types of things like home security and or indoor gardening or organizing your cupboards or anything, let me know. Do feel free to hit me up down below and I will gladly help you with that. Thank you for taking this time with me today. I hope you are prepared or are at least trying to prepare. Try not to go to the very last minute with what you have. And if your resources are really that tight where you're not really able to stretch and do anymore, seek out some of these food shelves because they're having less food now too, but they do still have some things. They have things like powdered milk, which I know people go, powdered milk. But yes, powdered milk, if you work it right, because there's so many different types of powdered milk, and I even did a video on powdered milk last year, but I can do one again if you need information on that. If you work it right, if you prepare it right, your powdered milk can work for you as far as having something decent to drink in times of need. It can be used to make that cornbread, to help make that cornbread or baking other products or whatever. It can be used in your cereal. You can use it for a variety of things. A lot of those food shelves also have an excessive amount of mashed potato flakes. I'm not saying that this is a great potato famine, but we know that that happened and it was very real in the past. And one thing that I can say about powdered milk and mashed potato flakes is that it's already dry. You can put it up. And if times get tough, you have something a bit more than just hot water and a couple of packages of tomato sauce and some salt and pepper to make you some tomato soup. And yeah, times can get that hard. I had a hard time like that once, and I did that. Yes, with the tomato packages, two tomato packages, a cup of hot water, and a little bit of salt and pepper. And I called that my tomato soup. And then I met somebody else that was doing the same thing, and I thought, oh, so I'm not alone. But knowing this, that tells me we both need to work on our preparedness. But now here we are, almost 30 years later, and we've got it together, and we're just trying to impart some of that wisdom on others, or at least I should speak for myself. So take care. Don't be scared. If you're not prepared, get prepared. Please, please, please prepare. Please try to go, if you got a few extra bucks, go by a thrift store and look through their books because the price of the books at the thrift store have not gone up yet. Not yet. And you can find different cookbooks like those old Betty Crocker cookbooks and you know how to cook everything vegetarian or You can find books that are resourceful on how to do it yourself, repair things at home, to help increase your knowledge base in case situations rise where those outside supports that we were used to having all the time, the supports where it's like, hey, such and such needs to happen. Let me pick up the phone and call this person and see if they will come and repair this or do that, or my table leg is wobbly, or my leg on my sofa is wobbly or whatever. Learn how to be more self-sufficient, and not in some wacky kindergarten way. Really take some time and read and learn some things where you can handle your business if the power goes out. Have a backup plan. Have some batteries for your lanterns if you have an electric lantern. If you have lanterns that use oil, be very careful how you use them. Don't be having kids and pets all around them. And put it somewhere where it can stand tall and be sturdy. If you have lanterns that have candles, the kind that you put the candle in and you close the glass on the front, you know, take inventory of those things. Make sure you have something in place now. Look around you. What windows do you have in wherever you're living? What kind of outside light do you get? Whether you're living in a car, if you're living in a van, a U-Haul truck, an apartment, a house, condo, townhome, what windows do you have and where does the light come in directionally? Because if there was some power grid failure, God forbid, when it gets dark, it's gonna be dark. And believe me, I've been out in the woods plenty of times where when it's dark, you cannot see my teeth, you can't see nothing. When it's dark, it is dark. My grandparents used to say, be home before the sun hit the top of the trees. Some of that might have had to do with the sundowning stuff that happens in the South. And by sundowning, I'm not talking about dementia related people getting older, but there was a lot of discrimination and things that happened in the South for communities of color, African American people, whatnot, where you couldn't be out on the street after dark. So they say be home before the sun hit the top of the trees, and you didn't have a watch on. You didn't get one because you didn't need one. Because if you can look and you can see where that sun is coming down, if it's almost at the top of the trees, oh snap, I gotta be home. You take off, get home, because if you didn't, you might find yourself not being able to get in. But in today's world, thankfully, we've moved ahead from that a lot, even though there's still a lot of growth that could happen in that area if we're honest about it. But if there was a power grid failure, when it's dark, it's going to be dark. Just like it was in the woods where all I was able to see was the light of the moon in the sky, and the stars are so far away that they ain't providing too much light. So if it gets dark, you might find yourself up a creek without a paddle. But to know directionally where your lighting is coming from, at least you can know, okay, the light is coming from over here. I know I need to get that direction. How much time is it going to take me to get where I need to go before the sun goes down? Or how much time do I have? Will the sun come up in the morning before I have to get up to still try to go to work on my bicycle or whatever? If there were a power grid failure, I still have to go to work. So I'm gonna just let it end at that. please be prepared, or at least be attempting to prepare, because the alarm has already been sounded. Not only have we seen multiple power outages in the United States of America over the past 6 months, including, places like Texas that are just like massive, and they were without power in the winter. We've seen multiple tornadoes, 3 mile wide tornadoes in some areas. I mean, like, seriously, 3 miles wide. If a tornado hit in your area, what are you going to do? If you live in the basement of a building, like if you have an apartment and you're in the basement of the building, that's at least one positive. But as soon as you hear that alarm going off, or if you're hearing impaired and you see on the news or your phone starts to buzz and it says that it's a tornado warning, go to your safe spot, which is an inner wall. Most people go to the bathroom and get in the tub because of the plumbing and everything. That would be a safer spot in that area. Even if you're in the basement, yeah, you still need to be away from the windows because you do have some amount of windows. And if a tornado decides it wants to come by your home, you don't want to be hit by any glass, by any trees, or by any stray stuff that's flying around in the wind. And you don't want to be the rubbernecker, which I call the rubberneck person, that's wanting to look out the window and watch how close the tornado comes. They move very quickly and they cause a lot of destruction. So have a plan. If there's a flood, what are you going to do? You should have a plan in place. Earthquakes, have a plan. Civil unrest, which I've talked about that a few times. You should have a plan. When the civil unrest happened here in Minneapolis last couple of years ago, I didn't know that it would start up in my own neighborhood, but it did. I live in the hot spot. I didn't know that man was going to get killed down the street, but when he did, people in Minneapolis did as they always do. They come marching along, protesting, and I thought, okay, here we go again. Because they'll protest and they'll stand out in the street and stop the traffic just so they can be like, excuse me now, I need for you to stay right there so I can tell you how disappointed I am about whatever. Not mocking my people here in Minneapolis, but that's what they do, honestly. They'll stop the traffic on the highway. They do it. But this time, it started and it grew and it grew and it grew. And then people were coming from other states to Minnesota, driving around my neighborhood, and I'm looking like, that car has no license plate on the back. That person is not from my neighborhood. Now I'm knocking on the doors, talking to my neighbors, saying, do you recognize that person? Because something weird is going on. Next thing you know, kaboom, flames everywhere. And I'm in a panic as I watch the ashes that are as big as my palm fall down onto my windowsill. And I even took a picture of one. Like, that's huge. What am I going to do? And I ended up having to do the thing that I talked about forever, but never really expected that I would end up having to do. I had to bug out. I had my bug out bag, but it had like practical stuff, you know, small package of cat food, etc., flashlights and all that business. Did I have clothes packed? No, I didn't. So when I sent that picture to my friend of the ashes coming down, and she lived a few cities away, she said, "Please come stay at my place." I didn't have a car then. All I had was a bike. I'm not going to be biking away to get all the way, half an hour drive away, and everything is going off, and National Guard is coming in, and tanks going down the street. Yeah, it got crazy, crazier than I'm used to experiencing or seeing myself. But I said, okay. And she said, I'm on my way. And while she was on her way, I went in the closet and I grabbed a few jumpsuits because jumpsuits are easy. You don't have to think about what you're going to put on. It just matches. Got my shoes on my feet, grabbed some jumpsuits, tossed them in the bag, took the cat, tossed it into the cat carrier, and threw a couple of cat toys in there, and grabbed a couple of bowls out of the cupboard because the cat's gonna need to eat and drink out of something. Ran out the front door. She pulled up, and pew, I was gone. Left for 3 days, and when I came back, everything was tore up and burnt up. But thank God, not my home. None of the apartments or houses in the area were torn up, but businesses were. Even small family owned businesses, which really kind of hurt me to the heart to see what happened to Ingebrigtsens and different um, places where we went for food. Cub was pillaged. People breaking in and just going and taking whatever they want. Target. People were breaking in and taking what they want. O'Reilly's and Ace Hardware and U.S. Bank and the police department. Kaplooey. Set on fire. Set on fire, and fires raged for days. And like when I came back the 3 days later, terrified and looking around like, oh my gosh, nothing looks like it did before. Family Dollar was burnt down like a crisp to the ground. And to this day, there is no Family Dollar where there used to be Family Dollar. And I used to go to that Family Dollar a lot. So, very disappointed about that. But everything, whole world was like turned upside down for me here in Minneapolis. Kmart. And I know there's some haters and people don't like Kmart, but Kmart has some good deals. Let's be honest about it. Kmart was a savings place and they had some good deals. They may had some bad business practices or whatever. I don't know what was happening with them financially, but that was a good place to go to get school uniforms for kids or coats, snow pants. Hey, I'm in Minneapolis. Yes, I need snow pants because when it gets cold, it gets ridiculously cold. And when it snows, the snow ain't playing. It's going to be around for a while. And Kmart had a contract. They had like another 50 years to go before they would have to like sell that building or whatever. But people were just acting like ding dongs around here and just destroying everything. Even the post office. Even the post office. Come on now. So what do you do? And a lot of people didn't have anywhere to go, and so they stayed home and they bugged in. They tried to board up their places to bug in. I was like, I got somebody saying that I could stay how many cities away with them? See ya. I'm gone for a minute. When I came back, tore up from the floor up. Everything was tore up, destroyed. My heart was just crushed. Had a homeless encampment out in my front yard. Like I said, I live in the hot spot. I live in the hot spot, but I really love Minneapolis, which is just, I know people don't get it, but I live in the hot spot. We had a homeless encampment, over 100 tents outside my front freaking door, all over the park. Over 100 tents. It was a hot mess. And these aren't people whose houses burnt down because none of the houses, apartments burnt down. These are people that have been homeless and have been struggling anyway. And now it's like, well, hey, the mayor's giving away tents. So let's take a tent and go right over here to Powderhorn and set it up and live there for 3 months. Then you walk out the back door. And it's like, oh, there's somebody asleep outside the back door of my building. This is getting to be too much. And I was already on a board for a community, not the community I live in, but for a community, the community I work in. And somehow or another, I ended up becoming president of that board. And things had to happen. You know, when you have an opportunity to use your voice and make a difference to someone, take it. I mean, and of course, it may seem a little self serving for me, but yeah, my life matters too. But your life matters too. And I'm not just talking about Black Lives Mattering, I'm talking about all the lives in my community matter. So I had an opportunity to talk with people about my concerns about safety. Then we reached out and we found ways to connect more people together so that we could all talk about, hey, when this happens, I don't feel safe. And when the lights go out, when it gets dark at night, there are too many street lights that have not been repaired yet. What's up with the city? Well, they get their, request to repair stuff, and at the same time the Rona was happening, which of course I did a video on that because of course I got the Rona the first year that the pandemic hit. Of course I did. And the first couple of days, it didn't seem like much of anything. Before I even knew I had the Rona, I did a video on the Impossible Burger, and I said, well, this is terrible because I don't even taste it. I didn't know I had the Rona. I had the Rona, which I found out later, and then was quarantined for 15 days and felt crazily sick and to the point where I was planning my own funeral arrangements. Let's keep it real. I just was. Because I couldn't breathe. I couldn't talk. I couldn't walk. I couldn't communicate my needs. People would drop off food for me. Hey, dropped off some food for you. It's right outside on the front steps. See ya. Thank you. Click. And then it's like, okay, how am I going to get from the second floor all the way downstairs and outside and down those stairs to get that food that they left for me out on the curb? Put on a mask, looking to see, is there anybody in the hall? Here I go bumping this camera again. I take a few steps and then I'm exhausted. I can't breathe. I can't breathe. Went through all of that. Eventually get the food back up in my place. My point is, life means change and growth is optional. Life means change. Preparedness is optional. You need to be prepared. And I can say this 5 million times, but until you do it, you ain't done it. You need to be prepared because we don't know when the next shoe is going to drop. Let's keep it real. We don't know when the next conflict is going to happen. We don't know when there's going to be the next riot in the city. because somebody's mad that something happened, or some court case didn't go the way they wanted it to go, or there was an EMP, or the power is out because there was an electrical storm or tornado or flood or hurricane. We don't know. That's why we need to be prepared for real. Seriously. And even though my videos don't have that entertainment value that a lot of people want, I'm not playing all the fun music. Yeah, I'm not. I am just here sharing with you my experience, my wisdom, and hoping that you'll get something out of it and it'll light a fire under you so you get busy doing something. Because when everything hits the fan, whose door are you going to knock on? Or are you going to be the one that's already prepared? Like when I had the Rona and the health department was like, oh, by the way, that test that you took? Yeah, it came back positive. Congratulations. And I said, that's not funny. And they said, oh, no, we're very serious. Do you need us to bring any food? I said, no, I'm prepared. And I was prepared. Conflicts happen. I had to get out of Dodge quickly. Bugging out is real. And sometimes you just got to do that. Walking down the street, anything could happen. If you walking down the street in the daytime, I don't care if you're just going for a pleasant walk or on your way to work or to lunch or whatever. If you feel like somebody is walking behind you, you might want to take a look to see what's up. Keep walking. And if you're still feeling that way, turn around and look again. Because, yes, I've gone through that too. Same person was behind me. So then I reached in my pocket, put on my wrist, my big zippity zap, took it out in my pocket, turned around and looked. That person quickly went across the street. Don't give people an opportunity to make you a victim. Be aware of your surroundings. Don't have your head stuck in the cloud. Don't be so focused on your cell phone, texting and listening to music and other stuff. Take them earbuds out of your ears and pay attention to what's going on around you. Seriously. Don't make yourself a statistic. Seriously. Be aware. Be prepared. I hope that my words are resonating with you in some way. I really didn't plan on my video going this long. Um, I will have to postpone my candle making video for another day. I have some soy wax and wanted to show you how to make some soy candles because that's another good resource and you can use it for all sorts of things. And it's really soy wax. It's not like I'm doing any weird things. I know people get weird about use of wax and all that. But soy has many positive uses, including the ink in the newspapers that you read. A lot of times that's soy. A lot of times it is. But thank you for visiting me and joining me today to hear what I'm saying. And I hope that you sincerely hope that you're getting prepared. Um, and if this content is helpful, please give it a thumbs up. The algorithm really enjoys that and I appreciate it too. Leave a comment in the comment section below. Something that you got out of the video or something that you would like for me to discuss or to reiterate in another video or showing about dehydrating my onions and stuff. You know I love dehydrating them root vegetables. I can't help it. I can't help it. They're healthy, they're good for you, and it's so easy to do. And it's a good way to put back stuff. I've got probably 3 more bags of carrots to dehydrate, but today I'm finishing off some broccoli and I'll be doing some more carrots tomorrow. Carrots and parsnips and things like that. Because when it comes down to it, I'm one of those people that can't just have ramen noodles by themselves. And even the price of that was gone up today too. But I'm not going to even get into all that. The price was ridiculous. So I didn't even get that today. But see, I can take some rice and some of my dehydrated peas, my dehydrated carrots, and a little bit of my dehydrated onions. I can take my things and put it together. I have all my seasonings, and I can make a meal. Whether or not it has meat, I can make a meal that's not just something I'm shoveling into my mouth, but something that I can really enjoy because I do enjoy food and I enjoy eating. Thank you for taking the time with me today. And please, 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 if you haven't started preparing, please prepare. Check out some of the other prepper channels too. There's Lead Farmer 73, Homestead Heart, City Prepper, Alaskan Prepper, Canadian Prepper. There's Self Sufficient Me. There's all kinds of people out there. Um, Live Simple, Live Free is one that I'm really a fan of. They were Tiny House Prepper and they changed their name to Live Simple, Live Free. They have a wonderful testimony. Two people of God, that husband and wife, that were very successful in the past. Then they lost everything. Everything. Ended up living in this little tiny, broke down place while the wife is going through some health stuff. The husband is trying to fix up this little place. They stayed there until God made a way for them to get the house that they're in now. Praise God. They have a wealth of knowledge, and they still do videos on gardening. They do how-to videos on building storage and shelving and pantries in their home, and which that was a recent video that they just did. Elizabeth, because it's Bill and Elizabeth Keller, they did. Elizabeth does tea with Jesus every Sunday. She's only missed a few times, and those times when she missed, she was either traveling somewhere or she was sick. Beautiful, beautiful people with a beautiful, beautiful heart. Um, there's lots of people out there, even Major Gardner. Come on now, he keeps it real. I like that. He keeps it real. Man ain't never met me before. He probably don't even know that I follow his channel, but he keeps it real, and I like that. And he will straight up show you, like I talked about the Weed Eaters Handbook. I also have a book called Backyard Foraging that tells you about other things that you can just walk by and bloop, bloop, take those things and eat. And there was a depression channel, but the person who did those videos has died now. She lived through the depression and showed how she lived from day to day and how she managed life and would walk home from work and doing the foraging on the way home, putting that good healthy food that most people don't even recognize, it's just growing out in the yard, putting that in her pocket, taking it home, washing that stuff up, and making a meal. And she lived a very long, fruitful life. It's people like this that we can learn from, and we can actually just, they're imparting their knowledge on us, and we can be blessed and learn from them and be able to not only use it for ourselves, but share what we learn with somebody else. It makes all the difference in the world. Seriously. There is so much that we can learn from so many people. You might tell somebody something about, I was at the global market and they had such and such and this and that on sale. They have a little area where the fruit is starting to look kind of, or the vegetables are looking kind of, but they're not gone yet. They're not to that point of being just like pitch it out. But what they do is they lower the price a lot. I buy that stuff. You know why I buy that stuff? Because I was the one that used to work at the monastery. When I worked with them sisters, people would knock on the door, bring a bushel of this or a bushel of that. What they had to eat was whatever somebody brought to their door. Because they didn't have no money. They didn't have no money. So what they had to eat was what was brought. And so that stuff would come in and they'd say, well, today we'd like blah, 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 blah. And what did I do? Okay. Took that stuff in the kitchen, looking at it. Some of it may have a dimple here or whatever there. I cut those bad parts out and I learned how to use the rest of that. There is no need to be wasting food. That is one principle that I definitely learned from the sisters. Never waste food. Come on now. You got broccoli? Like I'm dehydrating broccoli? I cut them motor scooters up. I cut the florets, split them down the middle, put them on my trays, and then I still had the stems. You know, the little thicker, stalky part of it. Split that in half. I'm dehydrating that too, because that's still food. No, it maybe not be what I would normally eat every day on the regular, but it's still food. And if times got hard enough, you'd be surprised what you're going to eat. Because you know what? One thing I have learned about people, when people get desperate, things change. And since we are already in the know that things are changing, the food prices are going up, the availability of food is going down, and the heads of the nation is talking about we got some tough times coming up. Okay, we know we got tough times coming up. So then what are you going to do with the tough times? Are you going to be ready? Are you prepared? And preparedness isn't just like a one day thing, like, okay, I'm going to go to the store and I'm going to buy this flour. Boom, I'm prepared. No, it has to be constant. Rotate your canned goods. Constantly prepared. Stocking and storing up and putting your stuff away. You have to be on the ready. For real, for real. For real. So I'm just letting you know. Please, please, please be prepared. If you ain't prepared, get prepared. Best way that you can. You got apples? As you eat them apples, save the seeds. You got lemons? As you eat those lemons, save the seeds. Let them set and dry out, and then put them together in a little container. Put that aside somewhere. You have a pineapple? You can reroute that motor scooter after you eat the other part. Little roots come out of that bottom part that you can cut off, and you can grow another pineapple in a food grade container or a pot in your home. You can take the top of it off, and it will grow because I've done that. I learned about the bottom part of it growing through watching Lead Farmer 73. But the top, that's what I normally do. Cut that top off, plant that, and it will grow. The roots will start if you do it in water and then you move it to the soil. And then it's gonna look all cute and everything, like you got a cute little house plant, and then next thing you know, you got a bunch of little babies coming off of it. Yes, there are things that you can do. Even if you're in an apartment. Yes, you can. But let's keep it real. If you're going to want to do these things, you can't be lazy. And I know it's so much easier to be lazy and say, it's this person's fault. It's that person's fault. No, point them fingers at yourself. Because regardless of what's going on all around you, some things you have to take responsibility of. So there's stuff that you just have to do. And sometimes you got to put your foot down and say, doggone it, I know I'm going to have some needs, so I need to do this for myself. And yes, I like my comfort foods and I like my stuff nice and easy, but sometimes I have to have what I need for myself. So thank you for joining me. And I know I probably said that 4 or 5 times now, but really, thank you for joining me, and I look forward to seeing you again. And I hope that you are preparing, and I hope that you have a good night and a good week. Please share this video, help somebody else out, and prepare. Help yourself and your family out.